day and welcome back to our series on Lent. We are calling it Conversations on Lent, and it is brought to you by the Methodist Church in the BVI Circuit. Our Superintendent Minister, Reverend Dr. Keith B. Lewis, has been helping us with these conversations on Lent, and we welcome him back today.
Thank you.
Welcome, Reverend
Yes.
Lewis.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel. It's good to be back again.
Yes.
And it's good to be joining the public again through this medium. And I hope that we are tickling the thoughts and imagination so that you can run to do your research and have your own conversation.
Yes.
You know, in person, your conversation with your pastor, with your class leader, with a one-on-one, and you can have your own conversation with yourself.
Yes, and share it.
Yes.
Share the conversations even with your children.
Yes.
As we seek to, grow in Christ.
Yes.
That's what we're hoping is happening for you as you listen to these conversations. So, Reverend Lewis, today we want to tackle atonement.
Atonement.
Yes, atonement. Yes. So, I know that atonement is a concept that we don't necessarily, we talk about it as Christians, but understanding, exactly what it is and the significance to us as Christians at a deeper level,
Yes.
I think is what I would like us to be able to achieve.
Yes.
So let's talk about atonement and the significance of atonement.
Yes. So in everyday life, atonement is one, basically fessing up and accounting for one's error, one's misjudgment.
Right.
And it may be done in many different ways. That's why we have prison. So we have prison reform, which is basically an atoning institution that people hopefully would come to recognize the wrong that they have been doing to other residents and citizens in the society, other people in relationship to them, and that they would change their ways of life.
Right.
So that's on a micro level.
Yes.
On a macro level, universally, atonement is God stepping in and recognizing that we as human beings, we are woeful.
Yes, we are lost.
We are lost.
Yes,
we are not going to, by our own effort, no matter how intelligent we are, how creative we are, this will not save us. And you and I grew up talking and reading and studying about world wars, and we are right on the brink of having one. So it looked like we are just woeful with ourselves as human beings. We are destroying everything. What is the biggest thing going now? Saving the planet?
The planet,
So
the environment.
So environment and the ecosystem. So how silly can we be to destroy our own food source, to destroy our own harmony, our own happiness? But we are bent on doing that. So who will save us? So the Apostle Paul said that I know what is good to do, but I cannot do it.
Right.
Who will help me in this wretched state that I find myself? So God so loved us that he gave his son, Jesus Christ, to be the atoning sacrifice for us. And why this atoning? So atonement, as we ended the last session, is clearly linked with sacrifice.
Right.
There is a penalty to be paid for our misjudgment, our abuse, our wrong. And so in the Christian life, in Christian theology, Christian thought and practice, atonement is central, because the Christian life is about salvation. And it is about, so in the apostolic tradition, in apostolic preaching and teaching, Jesus is center, and Jesus' entire life, his birth, his death, his resurrection, is the central focus. So the reason why Christ came was to save the world.
Right.
And so atonement is smack center, no cross, no crown. No pain, no gain, as we we say, in our age. And to help us understand that, there are people who differ onto what that, in a real way, what does it really mean?
What does it really mean?
So there is the thought that Christ substituted
Okay.
for us. He took our place. He repaid our debt so that we do not have to pay it ourselves. This then requires from our part that we have this deep gratitude to God that Jesus did what we could not do for
So we
ourselves.
couldn't do it for ourselves.
Right.
And that's an important concept to
Yes.
understand because, you know, stemming from the events in the garden
Yes.
where we sinned,
Yes.
you know, then we have become and continue to be unable to save ourselves, as it were.
Yes.
And without intervention,
Yes.
we will continue on a path that is self-destructive.
Yes.
Essentially.
In Jewish thought, there is the idea that we are rolling down a hill like a boulder. So unless someone step in the path,
right,
or some force steps in the path,
okay,
we will end up down in the precipice.
Okay, and so Jesus is God sending His Son to substitute.
Yes.
Is a way then of pulling us. Okay.
Yes.
So that's one theory.
So Jesus then sets us free.
Right.
And it is incumbent on us to act like we are free and to take advantage of our freedom to serve God and to do good by His creation.
So that knowledge should bring about a difference in behavior.
A difference in behavior.
Gratitude, yes.
Yes.
But also just understanding what He has done for us should bring us to a place of a right about turn, you know, behaving completely different.
Yes.
So we shouldn't be self-destructive anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And then we have the ransom that He ransom us. So ransom has to be we are held hostage in sin, and so sin has a lock on us. The good I want to do, I just cannot do it. I know it
in and of myself.
you know.
Yes.
And the wrong I know I should not do. That is what I find I am gravitating to doing. And so we cannot then achieve the life that God intends for us to live. And Jesus here comes, pays, the hymn writer said, Jesus paid it all. So then all to Him I own. Right? So He comes to free us and to release us from captivity and enable us to live in freedom and joy.
Okay. And so all of that is under substitution.
All of that is now ransom. So He substituted, so then we ought to be grateful. Now He's ransoming us and we ought to live free.
Okay.
And so Jesus sets us free.
Yes.
Loose us from the bond of sin. And you and I now are able to live like not slaves, but free people. Not live under a curse. Not always be talking about, I can't help myself. Yes, you can help yourself because you've been set free. So Lester Marley talk about liberating ourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind because we have the ability. So remember we were talking under fasting about self-empowerment. So Christ has done what it is required to set us free, and so much we must rise. Hey, the door is open, I can go out and not be sitting in the cage and feeling I am to be a slave forever.
Right. And so understanding the concept of atonement, not just from because so often in terms of the practice of our faith, you know, we understand these things, we hear these things, we repeat them, but understanding, what it means that he atoned for
Yes.
us and brought us to a place where we can be free and
Yes.
indeed live in a way
Yes.
that demonstrates that freedom.
Which in simple terms, some of us take loan from the bank and cannot repay. Someone steps in to salvage us from being thrown out in the street, because if the bank
Right.
repossesses your home, that is what is
That
going to
is
happen.
what's going to happen.
And someone steps in and say, I will pay the loan for you. I'll pay off the loan. You now have your so you move from that state. You don't have a mortgage hanging over your head.
Yes.
You are now the owner of this property. Free. When you put your key in the door, you're not going to come home in the gate and feel you're going to see someone have a
Yes.
a repossession sign on your home. And that is
Right.
what Christ has done for
For
us,
us,
in a tangible way.
Yes. And if we live with that knowledge and in that knowledge, it would make such a big difference
Yes.
in how we live on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
And help us to understand, even as we go through this period in Lent, the importance of continuing to nurture that relationship.
Yes.
Okay? Continue to understand really and truly what it is that God has done for us, and be bold in our faith as we go forward each day.
Yes.
So join us again next time. We're going to continue the discussion about atonement. And as you go through each day, take some time to reflect and introspect on the true meaning of Lent and what God has done for us. See you next time.